So in this video, we're going to look at concentration problems in differential equations. I often refer to these problems just sort of offhand as tank problems because the typical example in textbooks involves fluid in a tank, maybe with something mixed in it, being pumped in or out. And since that's the common problem, I often just refer to them by that shorthand as tank problems. But concentration problems can be certainly used in other contexts. And so this general setup will still apply in those cases. So we're going to look at two examples. We're going to do the general setup, but then the two examples, one will involve fluid flowing in and out at the same rate, the same volume. And then we'll look at another example where the flow rates are different. And so the tank is either draining or filling as the mixture is pumped in. Now, in general, you're going to start your differential equation with a very simple sort of framework, and that is the amount of whatever substance you're modeling in the tank, and its rate of change over time is going to depend on the rate in and the rate out. So the rate in will be adding material to the tank, maybe salt or sugar or whatever you're mixing in it. And then the rate out is going to be the pumping out process, how much fluid is being pumped out, how much of the mixed fluid is being pumped out at the same time. So again, usually these are based on tank problems. And so we have a tank. In this example, it contains 400 liters of pure water. The mixture is being pumped in with a concentration of 16 grams per liter. And we're using sugar for this example. Salt works exactly the same way. Another types of mixtures, but it flows into the tank at a rate of 4 liters per second. The mixture presumably is well stirred, and then that's an assumption that we don't have to worry about, like things being more concentrated on one end of the tank than the other. And then that well-stirred mixture leaves the tank at the same rate, so that 4 liters per second. Find an expression for the amount of sugar in the tank at any time t, and then what amount of sugar would be needed in the tank to maintain the same level of sugar. So when does it reach an equilibrium? All right, so the rate in is broken up in our problem into two components. So the concentration of the sugar and the volume of the liquid being pumped in. And so to get the rate in, we're going to multiply the sugar concentration by the fluid amount. So 16 grams per liter by 4 liters per second, we get the liters to cancel. And so the rate in of the sugar is coming in at 64 grams per second. So that's one part of our equation. Now the rate out is calculated similarly, but the amount of sugar going out of the tank is dependent upon the amount of sugar already in the tank. Now, initially we started with pure water, but that won't be true over time. So we're going to use A as our function, the amount of sugar in the tank. It's measured in grams, divided by the size of the tank. So the tank is 400 liters, and it's flowing out at that same 4 liters per second. So our liters cancel, our 4s cancel, and we're left with A over 100 in grams per second. So that's our rate out. And again, this matches our original differential equation, dA dt. If A is measured in grams and time is measured in seconds, this is the correct unit. And so our equation is going to become dA dt is equal to 64, that's our rate in, minus our rate out, A over 100. So there's two different ways that we can solve this problem. We could solve it by using linear methods, linear differential equations, but this is also a problem that we can solve by using separation of variables. It's a little bit easier to do this one by separation of variables, and so that's the way that I've chosen to solve it here. So I'm going to factor out my coefficient of negative 100 and get my parentheses of A minus 6400. And then I'm going to divide by that and multiply by dt, and then integrate both sides. And I end up with log of A minus 6,400 is equal to my negative 100, negative 1 over 100 T plus C. And then, of course, you solve this for, solve for A. So I'm going to raise both sides to the power of E. That will cancel my log on this side and put it on that side. I can separate this plus C in the exponent as E to the C by multiplying it. And then that becomes just some general constant K. So I end up finally, if I put the 64 on the other side of the equation, I get a general equation for the amount of sugar in the tank as 6,400 grams plus K times E to the negative 100 over T. Now, it's entirely depending on whether you start above or below the equilibrium value. This constant could be positive or negative. If you start out with a lot of sugar, then it's going to flow out faster than it flows in, and so it will reduce. On the other hand, if this starts out less, which we started with pure water, so it starts out less, then this will increase until it approaches the 6,400. Now, since our exponential function here is getting smaller over time, then when it starts out below, this will actually be negative. And then when it starts out above, this will be positive because it will start out above the equilibrium. And then that equilibrium, the difference will get smaller. So if we actually solve for K, we plug in our initial condition when the process starts at time equals 0. There is no sugar in the tank. Pure water is no sugar. And therefore, K is negative 6,400. And so we end up with this as our final equation. Now, we can say a lot of things about this. The equilibrium is 6,400 grams of sugar. And we can then calculate, if we plug in time t, we can then calculate what the amount of sugar is at any point in time. We could also, for instance, find out like how long does it take to get to 95% of equilibrium or something like that. So you would just have to calculate, since the equilibrium is 6,400, 95% of that would be 6,080. And then you could set A to the T equal to that and then solve for time. So essentially, how long does it take to get that close to equilibrium? Because of course, you're never going to get exactly to equilibrium unless you start exactly there. All right, so let's look at the second example. Now, the second example is going to be very similar, except that the flow rate as the mixture, in this case, leaves the tank is going to be different than the amount of flow coming in. So we've got 400 liters of pure water. The mixture of concentration is coming in at 16 grams per liter. The rate flows in at 4 liters per second. So this is exactly the same as the previous problem. But now the well-stirred mixture is leaving the tank at only 3 liters per second. So we want to redo the previous problem, but now with this one change. Now, if it's only leaving the tank at 3 liters per second, but it's coming in at 4 liters per second, what that's telling us is that 1 liter per second is being added to the tank in terms of the total fluid. So we're going to have to take that into account when we set up our equation. Now, the rate in is going to be exactly the same as before. The rate in, it's the 16 grams per liter times the 4 liters per second, the 64 grams per second. This is exactly the same. What changes is the rate out. So this 3 liters per second, yes, is different than the 4 liters per second we had before. But what's also changing is that we noted that because it's flowing out more slowly than it's flowing in, 1 liter per second is being added to the tank. So as you run this system, the tank is filling. It's getting fuller and fuller and fuller. And so the total amount in our rate out problem, that denominator is not A over 400 anymore, but it's A over a term that depends on time. So it's A over 400 plus 1 times T. And it's 400 times 1 times t, because that 1 is the difference in the rate in and rate out. If it was coming in at 5 and going out at 3, it would be 400 plus 2t. If it was flowing out at 5 and coming in at 4, 4 in, 5 out, that would be decreasing the amount in the tank by 1. And so this would be 400 minus t. So when we can't really simplify this quite as much as we did before, and we end up with this expression. The rate out now depends on time. And so we're not going to be able to do separation of variables anymore. We're going to have to do linear integration methods with our integrating factor, or use our equation. So we end up with this as our differential equation, and we're going to use our linear process. Now, remember, for this, we're going to have to put the a terms all on one side. So dA dt, and the term that has a in it go on one side. And then this is like our g function. That's our forcing factor, whatever you want to call it. That goes by itself on the other term. We have to find our integrating factor, mu. Once it's in this standard form, we integrate the thing that's multiplying a. And if we do that integration, we end up with this expression. Remember, this is just a log formula. And then we bring the 3 inside the log so that we can cancel the e with the log. And then that leaves us with this expression. Multiply everything through the whole thing. And then you can see how this works. This is our undifferentiated like f function, and this is our differentiated version of this function. And then this is our undifferentiated a, and this is our differentiated a. So this is a product rule. And on this side of the equation, we also have to multiply by our integrating factor. The whole thing is multiplied by the integrating factor. And this side we integrate easily because the integral just cancels the prime. But on this side of the equation, we have to integrate, and I integrated here essentially using substitution. The derivative of 400 plus t is just 1. And so this is sort of a null power rule substitution. We end up with this expression, and then we divide by the thing multiplying the a in order to get a by itself. And so we have this linear expression that relates to essentially how much the tank is filling up. And then we have this expression. The expressions like this often end up leaving us with really crazy constants. So just kind of be aware if you're getting a weird number for the constant, that's somewhat to be expected. And then we plug in a equals 0 to solve for the constant. And again, we end up with this kind of insane constant for our function. Now, and again, think about the scaling here. 400 plus t cubed. This is already going to be a big number. So you're going to need in order to have some sort of effect on this linear process, you're still going to have a fairly large number that can cancel out whatever 400 and change cubed is going to be. Now, this particular problem didn't tell us that the size of the tank was a particular size. But if we knew how big the tank was, then we would know how long this process would continue. If it was flowing, the problems were the water was flowing out faster than it was flowing in, then it would last as long as there was still liquid in the tank. So it would last if this was a negative t, it would last for 400 seconds until the tank was drained. In this case, if the tank is 500 liters and we have 400 liters in it to start, it will only go for 100 seconds. If the tank is half full, and so there's still another 400 liters we can add to the tank, then we can go on for another 400 seconds. Now, once it gets to that point, the function no longer applies, because now water is spilling out over the top of the tank, right? And or if it's draining, there's no more water left. But if it's spilling out over the top of the tank, then it's forced back into this position where it has to flow out at the same rate that it flows in, because there's no more room. And so you would end up back with a situation similar to what we had before, where it could reach equilibrium, at least theoretically. Whereas here, the sugar is just flowing in and it's accumulating in the tank. And if you want to know exactly how much sugar is in the tank in terms of grams, then you would have to plug in a value for time up to the point where the tank was full.